A cop in Atlanta has been charged with multiple felonies for pointing his gun at a family and yelling the N-word. Now, that's according to the narrative. Let's put up a picture of this particular cop. Former Atlanta police officer Robert Malone is now facing felony charges following a road rage confrontation. He is now out on bail. Let me give you the egregious nature of this report. During the time of him pulling out this gun, during the time of him allegedly yelling racial slurs, calling this family the N-word, he was in plain clothes. After doing this, he left the scene of the crime. He has resigned from the Atlanta police force. He was allowed to resign after he was indicted for these felonies. Let me give you the background. A spokesperson for the Atlanta Police Department told WSB-TV that Officer Robert Malone resigned in July, weeks after he was arrested for felony charges from the incident. Courtney Harris and Quentin Rogers allege Officer Malone pointed a gun at them and their 3 children in a car in May, threatened to shoot Harris, and called the family the N-word. However, Officer Malone's attorney argues that Rogers and Harris were the aggressors and only backed down after they realized Malone was an off-duty cop, but not in uniform. So there's more. That put the biggest fear in them, just like seeing that gun being pointed at them, and then my 11-year-old holding my 8-year-old daughter's head to protect her, telling her the gun is pointed right here, Harris told 11 Alive on September 1st. Here's a direct quote. "I cried that night. That hurt." Malone's attorney, Brian Tevis, said the version of the events that the couple relayed to the media does not match what they told the police. So let's get into more background. According to 11 Alive News, the police report shows that on May 5th, a woman said a man driving a black Camaro pointed a handgun at them near the Reynoldstown district after Harris nearly hit the Camaro as she was exiting the parking lot. The driver blew his horn, yelled curse words at her family, and called her the N-word for several minutes while they were stuck in traffic, she told the police. Harris reportedly told police that Officer Malone said, and I quote, "He will blow her brains out." He later pointed a gun at her family, Harris told reporters. "I see him pointing a gun through the window, and I'm like, really? My kids are in the car. My kids are in the car," Harris said. And he's like, "I don't care. I don't give an F," called us the N-word while the traffic was still at a standstill. Harris told reporters she and Rogers stopped their car and approached Malone's vehicle to confront him. The police report shows Rogers started yelling at Malone, and then the off-duty officer fled the scene. Once again, the off-duty officer fled the scene. If he did nothing wrong, why does the cop flee the scene if all of his actions were above board? "I see a badge on his shoulder and it says Atlanta Police," she said. "It was just shocking. How could you be doing this?" Harris reportedly flagged down another officer near the scene of the incident who was responding to an accident. Malone, who worked for Atlanta Police for 13 years, told investigators later that he left the scene because he did not want to infuse the situation. That's why he left, okay? He did not want to make it worse. He was placed on administrative leave before resigning on July 12th. He is out on bond for what? Violation of oath, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and first-degree cruelty to children. I'm going to explain those charges in just a moment. The attorney, Tevis, said, however, that after Harris almost hit Malone's Camaro, she and her boyfriend got out of the car, approached the former police officer, became aggressive, and threatened him. So the attorney is saying, basically, what happened was opposite of what is reported. Now, here's what's interesting. You need to note a few things here. The attorney did not say his client never used the N-word. Need you to understand, sometimes it's not about what the attorney says, it's also about what they left out. The attorney did not say, hey, this police officer of 13 years for the city of Atlanta did not use the N-word at any time during this interaction. It was simply an argument, and he left the argument once he realized there was no danger or threat. That's not what the attorney said. The attorney is saying, well, the other people were the aggressors, as if that means he was then allowed to use the N-word to point his gun at children and citizens while off duty, no uniform, no commission, nothing. He had no commission to serve. He had no uniform. He was not on duty, and he pointed a gun at the family. Now, remember, he got suspended and was forced to resign after he was indicted, which means there are already at least two somewhat conclusive investigations. The first investigation was from his own police department. Remember, he did this off duty. They decided his off-duty conduct warranted him to no longer be on active duty. That's one investigation. The second investigation was by those in the prosecutor's office. He got indicted. That's another investigation. His attorney is the only one saying he did nothing wrong. So the police have admitted he did something wrong. Prosecutor has admitted he did something wrong. All of the family is saying this is the wrong he did, but the attorney is saying he did absolutely nothing adversarial to the policy and directive of being a police officer. We're going to continue to follow this story. Obviously, the issue is this. If you believe black people are the N-word, if you believe black folk are deserving of you pulling out guns on them and their children, that's a problem. You should not serve in a position of public trust. Number two, let me explain these charges. The charges are violation of oath, aggravated assault, and first-degree cruelty to children. Let me explain why this is important. I said this before and I'll say it again. Anytime there's a violation of oath charge, that means somebody is possibly serious about prosecuting the cop. When there is no violation of oath charge, typically the fix is in. So you got a violation of oath here. Good. Excellent. He wasn't even on duty and damn it, still got the charge. I like this prosecutor already. Also, cruelty to children. Here's why that's important in Georgia. In the state of Georgia, if you utilize profanity in front of a child, and yes, racial slurs qualifies profanity, you can be charged with cruelty to children. Now, is that a loose way to apply the law? Of course it is. But they apply that law against black and brown folk all the time in the state of Georgia. It's on the statute, it's on the books, and now this charge has been applied to a cop. All right, my dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
Well, you summed it up pretty well. You know, as far as his lawyer, what else is his lawyer going to say? Of course, his lawyer is going to say he didn't do it. The story that the family story changed, I don't know if you've ever had a gun pointed at you. It is a very scary, upsetting situation. So you can only imagine if the mother of these children had a gun pointed at her, and then you interview her about it, and then you talk to her about it later. I mean, she shook up. So the story might change a little in detail. What doesn't make sense from his story, let me back up. First thing that bothers me, and this is the thing they always do. The picture they sent out of this cop is his hero picture. But if you ever notice when a black person gets arrested, they go out of their way to find the worst picture of you, a picture that makes you look like, you know, whatever suspect, criminal, whatever they want you to do. They certainly don't use that hero shot. Now,
that's right.
The other thing is his story just doesn't make sense, because if they, so say maybe, I don't know what, he cut them off and they almost hit his car or whatever, they get mad. How are they going to get out of the car, go and yell at you in your car? Then how do you explain pointing a gun at them while they had to be in the car because they were with their kids? So his story is they got out, they went and yelled at him in his car. They saw the Atlanta police badge. They went back to his car. Then he walked over to their car, pointed the gun at them, got back in his car and drove off. Oh yeah, Yeah, that's exactly how it would play out. I'm sorry for laughing. I know it's a serious situation, but you have to laugh because these stories are ridiculous. And what's
Yeah.
annoying about this so often with these police stories is they're so confident they'll get away with it. They don't even work on a good lie.
Mm. That's a hell of a point, because you're right. His own story sounds even more ridiculous than what the hell he did. All right, so we're going to continue to follow that. Obviously, that's likely to go to adjudication quickly.